Hey everybody, this is Glidercat and it's time to play. Today we're going to take a first look at a game called Final Upgrade. The developer provided me with a review key so that I could put this content together for you, so my thanks goes out to the developer for that. It's much appreciated. Final Upgrade, it's currently in early access at time of this recording. You can go pick it up on Steam right now if it looks like something that's interesting to you. Or you can wishlist and follow it and just track its development. Again, it's in early access, but it is very, very, very playable in its current state. It feels like a complete and finished game to me. Now, I've really enjoyed my time playing so far, and I haven't even gotten anywhere near finishing the game yet. I haven't even gotten to the battles, really. I think I've had one exchange with the enemy in the game, but there's a lot more of that to come, I'm sure. Anyway, let's dive into learning what Final Upgrade is all about. We'll start with the trailer like we usually do, and then we'll talk about the game when we get back. So here we go with the trailer. Okay, that was the trailer. Now there's a ton to see there, and it may not be clear exactly what you're going to be doing in the game. There's a lot of footage. We saw battles, we saw factories, we saw all kinds of stuff. So let's try and break some of that down. Here's what it says on the Final Upgrade Steam page about the game. It says, after the loss of countless lives, humanity has accepted the fact that space is not for our organic beings. You play as an artificially intelligent supercomputer designed to operate machines in space. Your task will be to establish colonies on distant planets and supply them with an infinite flow of resources. Starting from scratch, you must build a huge network of production stations, transport ships, mining vessels, and battleships. Improve technology and fight other mechanical factions for control of territory. So that's a bit of the backstory and what your mission is. Now, your main objective in the game, or your main objectives, I should say, in the game are to claim, colonize, and develop planets as you pursue that goal of having a total colonized population of 1 billion people. Now, I can tell you right now that it's going to be a long and eventful journey as you work your way to that end game goal. There's just a ton to do. Now, there's a lot of details to this game, but for this first look, I'm going to try to keep things at a pretty high level. So if you'd like to see more of the actual gameplay and dig in a bit deeper, then check out my Let's Play series, which should post shortly after this video. Your time in Final Upgrade is largely going to be centered on three main things: planets, space stations, and spaceships. Now, planets provide two main things for you. First and foremost, they're a place to establish and grow colonies as you work your way towards the end game goal of having a population of 1 billion people. Now, if you look at the top of the screen here, you can see that our current population is just a little over 5 million people, and we've got a long ways to go to get to 1 billion. Now, once they're established, you grow your colonies by providing an ever-increasing supply of materials that they're going to demand. And we can kind of see that in the bottom right here. So the bottom right, we see a little display kind of our colony information. And we can see that the current population of this colony that's on Pollux 2 is about 250,000 people. In fact, it's exactly 250,000 people. And we can see the constant resource that they need supplied is nickel ingots, indicated here by the little nickel ingot symbol. And it's showing that they currently have a demand of 20 ingots that are unmet, and that could be up to 1,000, so we're doing pretty good. And they are consuming these nickel ingots at a speed of about 1/4 of an ingot a second. So that's the current demand, and we need to keep supplying that in order to increase the population. Now, this particular colony is at a max population for level 1. If we want to upgrade this to level 2, we're going to have to supply 500 units of fuel, and then this whole colony will level up. Now, the other thing planets provide is off to the left here, and that's raw resources. So here on Pollux 2, we can see that the resource this planet provides us is gold ore. And we can see that we've got about 6,800 gold ore sitting on the surface just waiting for us to collect it. And we're producing about 1 new gold ore every second. That's indicated here by the rate of production. Now, this can be upgraded too, just like the colonies. So if we provide 500 ingots down to the surface of Pollux 2, this planet, then that will upgrade our output. We'll go from level 1 to level 2, and our production of gold will go up from, I think, 1 per second. I think it actually goes up to 2 units per second. Right now, we're not using gold, so it's just kind of accumulating. But yeah, as you play, you're going to be upgrading both your colonies on the planets and the resource production on the planets. Okay, now let's take a look at all the different resources and materials in the game. I believe this shows just about all of them. We've got a bunch of raw ores here, which we find on the planet surfaces. And then once we get past this uranium ore, these ones are all refined. So this iron is basically the iron ore going through a stage of refinement. Same thing with these others. And then we get into ingots, which is the next stage of refinement. Then we've got composites. These materials you can use to up armor your ships and stations. I mentioned there's enemies in the game, and some of these advanced materials can be used to increase your, I guess, defensive stats on your ships and stations. So that's all very cool. More resources, tons of materials to create. There's fluids, water, coolant, oil, fuel. Some of these are raw materials like the water and the oil. I think you get those just right on the planet's surface. And then things like coolant and fuel, you're going to need to manufacture on your space stations. But you can see there's a bunch of cool stuff to make. And you'll need to set up factories basically to produce each one of these materials. And the very last little material here is energy, which you're going to need to produce and distribute as well. After planets come stations, and this is where you're going to be processing the raw materials gathered from planets into more refined materials that are then going to be shipped off to wherever they're needed. Stations are where your factories live, and you'll be placing machines of several different types to produce the different products that you need. Now, as you build out your stations, you'll make use of machines that allow you to beam resources to and from the surface of the planet. And you'll also have machines that allow you to beam resources or teleport resources from one station to another station, like in an adjacent sector. So there are enemy factions included in Final Upgrade, like I may have mentioned before. And so with stations, you can also up armor these things and add weapons. Now, this station here is the one for Venus that we're looking at now. And this station, the main purpose of this guy is to produce energy. But we've also got a bunch of other stuff going on. I'll just touch on it real quick. We've got some research stations here. Those help us move along the tech tree, and we'll talk about that in a minute. We got a bunch of batteries to store power, and that's one of the main functions of this particular station on Venus. If we look down to the lower left, we can see that Venus, the planet, provides carbon ore. And so we're bringing up that carbon ore up to the station through this little machine here, which is a trade hub. And then that carbon ore is going through some storage units and it's being processed. I won't go over all the details, but basically it's being processed a couple times into carbon ingots. And those carbon ingots are then being burned to generate power. And that power is going to charge up these batteries. Now, the energy carrier ship that we talked about, that's the one that's going to come by this station, grab this power, and go distribute it wherever it's needed. And then these little machines here with the satellite dishes, I can kind of do a center mouse, hold and drag, and we can kind of see from the side. But these have little satellite dishes, and these machines are teleportation relays, and they're moving resources from one station to another. So this particular one up here is a teleportation relay that is receiving, looks like iron ingots, and it's sending them through these two tubes. Actually, let me just unpause it. We can kind of see things happening here. Every once in a while, you'll see like these little ingots move over to this trade hub. And these ingots, once they hit the trade hub, are going down to the surface of the planet. And we can see down here at the lower right, this planet requires a steady stream of iron ingots. And that's where they're coming from, this relay. And then these two relays, this guy's receiving something called iron shells, which is a form of ammunition. And it's just passing those on to another relay that's beaming them off somewhere else. So this station is just like a waypoint on the way to wherever these iron shells are going to end up going. That's basically a station. You can build these out any way you like. There is a limited size to them. Here's an energy carrier coming and picking up energy from the station. So that's all very cool. And then as soon as it detects a station or a ship that is low on energy, this energy carrier will go zoom off and recharge it. And then once it depletes its supply of energy, it'll come back to Venus and recharge its own batteries from the station here. And again, all this carbon that's being brought up from the planet is being processed and turned into energy. So all very cool. That is it for stations. Now, they're a huge part of the game. You're going to spend a lot of time here kind of creating factories, optimizing them for space. We're still early game here. The station that we're seeing here is still pretty much early game. So I've got all kinds of room and there's a bunch of white space here. But eventually, as the needs increase across all of our planets, this station's probably going to get a lot more complex, a lot more dense with machines. And we're going to have to get creative on how to get everything done on this platform. Now, it can go a little bit bigger than this platform. But yeah, that station, here's another energy carrier, the same one recharging again. Very, very cool. So that's it for stations. They're a huge part of the game, like I mentioned. But now let's move on to spaceships. And there's several different kinds that you can build. I'll just touch on some of these, maybe not all of them. The easiest ones to actually understand, and I'm in the blueprints menu here. Easiest ones, I think, to understand are the fighters here at the bottom. There's a whole bunch of them, light fighter, battleships. And these come in different tiers, and you'll need to unlock technologies in the tech tree in order to obtain the materials required to build these higher tiered ones, tier 2s, tier 3s. Even this fighter tier 1 looks like we may not be able to construct that early on, because I can see some of the materials here you just don't have available early on. Early on, you might only be able to build this light fighter here. Now, in addition to the blueprints that the game provides, and that's what we're looking at, you can build your own ships completely from scratch, and it's really quite easy to do. Now, alongside of the fighting ships, and there's quite a few here, you can see of all of the ship types, they give you a lot of blueprints for fighting ships. So that's probably a big part of the game. I've only barely touched on that. But alongside of the fighters, there's several other ships that are going to assist you greatly in your colonization of the map. I'll just touch on some of them briefly here. First are the energy carriers. That's these guys here, and they give you blueprints for 3 of them. Again, you can build your own from scratch any way you like. You'll probably start out with the blueprint here for the energy carrier level 1. And what these do, they're basically mobile recharge stations for your other spaceships and space stations. Like everything in the game pretty much requires power. Your space stations to run the machines, And then your spaceships obviously need power. And this guy is like a mobile recharge station. Now, once it's constructed, these energy carrier ships are going to automatically collect and distribute electricity across the map. And we just saw one of these things in action when we were talking about the stations. So you only need to make sure that you're generating enough power at one or more of your space stations, like we saw on our, I think that was a station for Venus, I think. Venus had our power. But as long as you're producing enough power, you build these energy carriers, set them up to deliver energy, and they will just, wherever the energy is needed, they will automatically go and deliver it. It's pretty cool. They basically automate the delivery of energy across your entire, your little empire. So next up are the construction ships. Those are right above here. And instead of transporting energy to where it's needed, like the energy carriers, these ships gather building materials and will automatically travel to any active construction site on the map and build your spaceships and stations for you automatically. You just lay down the blueprints for whatever you're building, and your construction ships will just show up and do all the heavy lifting for you. It's pretty cool. Let's take a look. If I escape out of here, here we have a construction ship. It's hanging out. It's Saturn. I could build a component here. Well, let's just do it. Let's build something. I'll go into the build menu and we'll just drop a storage block here. It doesn't matter where we put it. Then I'll unpause and we should see this construction ship just go ahead and build this for us automatically. As soon as it detects there's something to build, there it goes. And it just constructs it for us. We don't have to do anything. Now, I'm going to pause and I'm going to go to a different sector. Let's go to, we're on Saturn now. Get out of the build menu here. We're on Saturn. Let's head over to Jupiter station. Oh man, Jupiter's got a bunch going on. There's not a lot of room here. But let's go to, there's actually a couple other ships here. There's a fighter, that lightweight fighter here, and there's a trade ship here we're going to talk about next, I think. But let's place something to build here. We'll do the same thing. I'll go into the build menu. I'll grab a storage thing. I'll just drop it anywhere near the station. I'll unpause the game. And now that construction ship will detect that I've got something to build. It's going to fly over here from the other sector where it was and build that for us. So we'll just watch it. Here it comes. It changes position and there it goes. It builds it. So these construction ships, once you have them set up, they'll go fetch the materials they need to do the building. They'll detect where you need stuff built, and they'll just take care of it for you automatically. It's pretty sweet. So let's see. Now, when I spoke about the space stations, we just talked about those. I mentioned that there's some machines that allow you to teleport materials from planet to planet across the network of space stations. And I think we saw, where was that? Venus, yeah. We saw that we had these teleportation devices that were moving resources around. So now there's also a spaceship that can help you move things around, and it's the trader ship. So let's go see if we can see one of these guys. So there's a trader ship. I'm going to pause the game real quick, and I'm going to right click on this guy and hit follow, and then I'm going to unpause, and maybe we'll get to see this guy in action. Let's make sure he's set to be a trader. Because this is I can tell it's a brand new ship because it doesn't have hardly any power on it. So we're set to follow this ship. What this ship does, it will go fetch resources from any other planet or station. I think it'll go down to planets, but I know it does go to stations. And wherever materials are needed, it will pick up materials and go deliver them where they're needed. So how does it know how to do this? Let's go to, I'm going to go to another planet, just so I can set this up. Let's see. So this planet, we're on Pollux 1. We look at the lower left. It says we need 990 nickel in order to upgrade our planet and increase the output of silicon ore. Now, we're not using silicon ore. We've got 10,000 banked up, but we can still do this upgrade. So how do I get nickel over to this planet? Well, I go to the map. And then I choose this little filter at the very, very bottom left. And I'll choose the nickel. And now this is going to show me who's requesting nickel and who needs it. So this guy, who's requesting it and who's producing it? I'm sorry. So this guy is producing nickel. We can tell by the color here. I think that's green. So if I click this and I drag it over to this blue one, which requires nickel, boom. Now I've just set up a trade route. It was that easy. That's a trade route all set up. Let's get out of the map and let's go find our trade ship. And here he is. Oh, let's pause and let's set this guy to follow. So what this trader ship did, it detected that we wanted to move nickel across the map. So it went to Saturn where it knew it could pick up nickel. We have a bunch of it here. It's kind of refined. There's nickel ore, and then this station is refining it in a nickel, and then it's being further refined into nickel ingots. But we need nickel. So our trader ship automatically came over here, loaded up its cargo bay with the refined nickel, and now it's getting ready to set off and deliver this. I've got it set up so we're going to follow it. I'll unpause. Boom. It just made its way to Pollux 1. This is this planet that needs nickel. We just set up this trade route. And so this guy's going to end up going down to the surface of the planet. And we'll keep an eye here on the lower left of the screen. And you'll see the ship indicated as being down on the surface. Let's go unpause it. So he's launching down to the surface. You can see there's a trader on the surface. And now our required nickel just decreased by whatever. Here's another trade ship, just did the same thing. And so both of these trade ships are stocking. Here's a third trade ship that's coming and delivering more nickel to the planet. And once this need is met, once we've delivered the 900 more nickel or whatever's required here for this little upgrade, that whole trade route will disappear from the map and these trade ships will move on to another contract. So that is very, very cool. And again, it's just another way to automate some of what you need to do to upgrade your planets and upgrade your colonies. Let's see if there's any others I missed. I think that's it. Now there's some other ships. Just take a quick look. I'll just show you what they are. We're not going to go into details. That's the tech tree. We'll get to that in a minute. But under blueprints, you just hit the search icon and select ships. What else we have? We have miners. These allow you to mine resources from asteroids. There's certain sectors in the map that just have a huge asteroid with one or more different raw materials. That can come in handy later on as you're getting resource scarce. And these mining ships will help automate that whole process for you. We talked about the traders. We talked about the construction ships. We talked about the energy carriers. The flagship is the ship that you'll start the game with. This thing is just a multi-purpose thing to get you started. It produces its own energy. It can do construction. It can refine materials. It just does a whole bunch of stuff, but it's kind of manual, and eventually you're not going to use it too much. And then we saw the fighter ships, and that's really it. So that is Spaceships. Again, there's just so much to cover about Final Upgrade that I can't possibly fit it all into a first looked video. Let's take a quick look at the map and then the tech tree, and then we'll wrap this up. Here's a look at the map. You start out at the bottom left at Earth. Boom, way down here. Way at the bottom left. And then each little hexagon that you see here is a sector on the map that you can move to and potentially claim as your own. Now, as you explore, you're going to uncover more sectors. So we've uncovered, I don't know, maybe a quarter of the map, maybe not even quite that. I'm not sure how much there is to uncover. And as you explore, you know, you'll find planets that you can colonize, asteroids that you can mine for additional resources, or you might find sectors that just don't have anything in them at all. Like here's a sector, the Station Void 2.2, which doesn't have anything in it. There's a little icon here. I placed a station there, but there's really no resource or planet there for us. Now the sectors close by Earth, all of these guys, they're pretty safe and you're free to claim them. But before long, you're going to run across other sectors that have already been claimed by a rival faction. And we've got one over here that I've discovered. I think it says Shell Factory. So if I click into that, we can take a look, probably because I've been here. And we've got a fighter ship from an enemy faction. I don't know if we can right click. I don't see it telling us which faction owns this. And then we've got some type of station here that looks like it's producing ammunition. Like if I look real close, these are some kind of ammunition, we can see electrical, steel shells are indicated kind of near the bottom where it says output. So this is an enemy faction. Right now, I don't know if they'll come and invade our sectors that we have claimed. I haven't seen that happen yet, but as soon as we send a ship in here, that ship is going to be doomed. Let's do it. Do I have a light fighter? Let's take our light fighter here. Let's set this guy to auto fight. And I'm going to go ahead and select restock. Right now, this guy was just built. I can tell because there's only got a couple batteries full and there's no ammunition in here. Let's do a couple things. Let's set ourselves to follow this guy. And then let's go to auto logic and tell him to go restock. So he's going to run off, do a couple things. He's loading up on energy. So he just filled his 4 little batteries or 6 batteries. Now he's loading up ammunition. So he is ready to go. Batteries charged, ammunition loaded. And now he went back to, I think, where he was when we first started. Let's send him off to that sector where the enemy is. So we'll do jump to sector. We'll go to the shell factory. Off he goes. And as soon as we get here, just about as soon as we get here, let's see what happens. It'll automatically pause the game, it looks like, when you get to an enemy sector. So we're paused. We just arrived in enemy territory. And the game detected that and paused for us. Let's unpause and watch what happens. Now, I've got one little railgun here. I'm going to go and make sure this thing is set to auto fight. And then let's just watch what happens. What happens with their fighter, which is seriously way bigger than ours. It's got 2 railguns, and they're using electrical... What is this? Electrical steel shells, which are much more powerful than the weapon that we have, which is just these guys, which is iron shells. That's the lowest level ammunition. Let's hit play and watch what happens. This guy, the enemy ship, is moving into place. There he is. And there he goes. He's starting to shoot. We're shooting, and he's shooting. So we just took a shot at their station. But he's taking shots at us. He's got twice the cannons and more powerful ones. And you can see he's doing some damage. Let's unpause and just watch what happens. This is probably going to get destroyed pretty quick. There goes our railgun. And if we don't get out of here quickly, we may not even be able to. Let's see if we can. I'll jump out of here. I'll try to jump out to the nearest sector and unpause. So it's charging up. Okay, we made it. So now we're going to get to see something else here. So I've got this damaged fighter ship. We lost our turret, and it's just the hull has taken a beating. If they would have hit our ship core, this whole ship would have just been destroyed. But I want to show you if our constructor ship comes and repairs us. So it should detect that there's a station or a ship in this case that needs repair, and our constructor ship should show up. Here he is. Here come the construction robots as well. And now they're kind of replacing what was destroyed. Now, I don't think they will restore the actual turret. I think they'll restore just the hull. I don't think they'll replace machines if they've been completely obliterated. But yeah, our construction ship came automatically and got us a little bit in better shape. Now we would have to restore the ship, we'd have to go to the build menu. Let's see, cannons, railgun. I don't even know that we can place this with our current tech. Let's see, will this go, and do I have to rotate it? I haven't actually placed one of these. Let's just see what happens if I drop this thing here. There goes our constructor ship, putting the railgun back. So all pretty cool. So yeah, back to the map real quick. So as you explore, you're going to uncover more of the map. You're going to discover new materials and new resources that are going to help you move up the tech tree. Invariably or unavoidably, as you settle more planets, they're going to want more resources, different products that you're going to need to manufacture and ship across your network here, across all these nodes. And that's basically it. Now, I think the original end game had something to do with reaching these two stars that are right next to each other up here in the top right of the map. But since then, there's a new objective of just getting to a billion colony population. And again, if I pop out of the map, you can see we're at 7.1 million. So we've got quite a ways to go. But yeah, the point of that was just to show you the map. Okay, now let's take a look at the tech tree and discuss how it works. Since Final Upgrade introduces a new twist, at least one that I've never seen in other games, as to how the tech tree operates. So here's a look at the tech tree. It's quite large. Let me back out so you can see the whole thing here. That's the entire tech tree, but I'll zoom back in so we can actually read some of the items here. Now, if you look close, you can see that most of the items here have to do with unlocking new materials that you're going to be able to harvest or produce in your factory. So if I scroll around here a little bit, you can see we've got things like gold ingots, gold extraction, titanium extraction, silicon, a lot of the raw materials, and then scattered in here off to the right are kind of more components: work drones, terraformers, mechanical parts, CPUs. And most of these are kind of one and done. You research it and then you've got it, and you know, it unlocks something else that you're able to research. So for example, we've got water harvester, which unlocked coolant. So we researched, or we haven't even researched that. I can just select that and research it. Boom, off it goes. We'll talk about how this all works. You can see the research progressing here at the top left of the screen. But water unlocked, oil harvest unlocked, electricity from oil, all that stuff. You can kind of, it's pretty intuitive, pretty common to other games, tech trees and how they work. So what's unique here? Well, a couple things. One, we've got the last few rows of the tech tree. You'll notice we've got multiple levels of upgrade per tech item. So for the construction cannon, there's actually 5 levels of upgrade to unlock here. Same thing with railgun and, stationary weapon control. Sectors limit is interesting. Now, we just got done looking at the map and we saw all those different sectors. Now, you're limited on how many you can actually claim by this research right here. So right now we've researched the first 2 levels, and if we look at the pop-up, that means we can settle 16 sectors, or we can claim 16 sectors. Once we get to 16, we can't expand anymore until we research this tech. And if I click on it, it's going to show us it costs 16,000 XP. So what is XP? I'm going to dismiss these little tutorial screens. But what is XP? XP is what makes Final Upgrade kind of unique. The way the tech works, if we look at the very bottom of the screen, we've got this thing called a total memory, and it says we've got 824,000, I guess, experience points worth of memory. And then if we look over to the right on the bottom of the screen, it's showing us that we've got free memory or available memory of 654,000 experience points. Now, we just saw if we want to research this next level of sectors limit 2, if we want to go to 3 and I click this, I'm going to consume 16,000 experience points. So let's just do it. I'll click it. Off it goes. Now, say I want it. Now, right now we have a ton of memory because I just claimed a bunch of sectors and my colonies have been growing pretty well. And that's how you increase your memory, just by developing your colonies and upgrading them. But say I didn't have enough memory and I really needed this sectors limit and I just didn't have the 16,000 experience points, but I couldn't expand unless I got this one. What I could do is go to some other technology. Say, let's see, I'm trying to find one that I'm not using. I think I'm using them all. Let's do coolant from water. So if I click on this guy, I've got the option to erase the memory. So if I click this, erase the memory, this is going to give me 2,000 experience points back and free up my memory. So let's just go ahead and do that. We'll see, it says free memory is at 651 something. Let's free it. Now we're at 653 something. And we've just basically forgotten that technology. We can go back and research it again, queue it up. But I thought that was kind of an interesting way. Now, I don't know the extent you're gonna need to do that. I'm still very early game, and as you can see at the bottom of the screen, I've got tons of memory I haven't even used yet. I think once we get up to the upper levels here, the memory requirements become much less trivial. Let's see if we can see something a little more high-powered. Storage? No, that's a really easy one. So Fabricator, if I want the next level of Fabricator, which looks like it provides a 50% energy efficiency, that's going to cost me 32,000 experience points. And I'm sure as we get up to these higher level ones, we can't see them now because they're locked, but I'm sure they consume a ton of memory. And so that's just another dynamic that you're going to be kind of juggling with. And I think it's pretty cool. But you can see there's plenty of stuff in the tree to research. You're going to be plenty busy. And all of these things that you're unlocking, you're going to be producing at some point too. So there's some factory work behind just about every one of these nodes, right? So silicon ingots, you're going to need a factory, you're going to unlock it, and then you're going to need to build a factory that actually produces these. And then eventually you'll be shipping these down to some planet to meet their consistent demand or some contract that you need to fill in order to upgrade the planet or the colony. So that's the tech tree. Very cool. A bunch of stuff there. The animation's kind of cool. It shows you how far you've unlocked on each row, just with the little lights flowing by. Anyway, that is the tech tree. That pretty much does it for my first look of Final Upgrade. I should mention that Final Upgrade has some tutorial content, and there's hints that pop up as you play which guide you along. Really doesn't take much time at all to get the hang of it. And as I mentioned at the top, I'm having a ton of fun playing Final Upgrade. If you're interested in seeing more of the game, then come join me in my Let's Play Final Upgrade series, which should post shortly after this first look video. Also, if you're interested in learning about more cool games just like Final Upgrade, then I strongly encourage you to check out my first look playlist. I'll put a link to that in the description, and it's packed with cool new games. Now, I know you're going to find something that interests you in that list, so do check that out. And with that, this is Glidercat signing off saying thanks so much for watching. I really, really mean it. If you like this content, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.